Hi everybody, this is Dr. Schroder with this week's video introduction to week number 4 of our course in evidence-based practice. And you've had a busy week this week. In week 3, your first big assignment of the course was due, your evidence-based practice part 1 paper. This is essentially where the assignment where by now you should have a very well-defined PICO statement. And in this paper, you discuss a little bit about the background, what you found out about the problem that you're addressing and the population that you're addressing, and then ended the paper with what is known as Appendix G, or the table of evidence. It's really just a table that is inserted into your paper showing where you've identified the 5 best pieces of evidence that you have supporting your evidence-based practice, and given some analysis for that. And of course, then also you attach the appraisal tools. Those were the Appendix E or F. A little confusing, I know, with the appendices. Why are they called an appendix if they're not going to be an appendix in your paper? And it's because this appendix titles and those appendix C, D, E, and F all refer back to the fact that they are appendices in your Johns Hopkins book. So that's why they're termed that. And anybody that's working through the Johns Hopkins model will oftentimes refer to these as the appendix number, just because those of us that work in nursing research were very well aware of that's really what this is all about. It does take me a little while to grade those, because of course I have to grade your APA and I have to grade your grammar, and I like to give some substantial feedback. So look for your results no later than this coming Saturday. I will probably have the discussion questions or your discussion form graded sooner than that, but the papers themselves, it takes a little while. So although I will start on those, if not this evening, early this week, but probably won't have them all completed until Saturday. So please be patient with that. You're going to be picking up this topic again. The first part of this is evidence-based practice part 1, is where you discuss what the evidence says about your problem. Evidence-based practice part 2 is going to come in week 6, and that's where you're going to talk about how you would implement, monitor, and actually what would be the nuts and bolts plans for you to take your evidence-based practice and then put it into practice. We'll talk about that as we move through the class. For this week, you have 2 assignments due. One is your discussion question. In week 3, we discussed, and the discussion focused on a meta-analysis. And so in week 4, we're going to be talking about 2 things. One is a metasynthesis. Metasynthesis is a little different, and I will leave you to the reading and to the course materials to understand what those differences are. But as we discuss with a meta-analysis is a very quantitative process where you take quantitative study, quantitative information, and take those same numbers and examine them in different ways through different, or through similar but different research questions to try to gain new insights, or try to gain a feel for what the generalizability of various studies are. Metasynthesis is a little bit more encompassing than that, and so you will be talking about that in the discussion questions. Also, clinical practice guidelines are another form of very important evidence that we use in the hospital. So you'll be talking about the Agree To tool, which is the tool that is used to appraise clinical practice guidelines. And that will be the discussion for this week. You also have one submission that is going to be due by Sunday. And if you refer back to your syllabus in week 4, there is an open book test. Essentially, there's a list of test questions that are listed in the text. You really have had all 4 weeks, but this week, if you haven't done so already, you want to go through those. Use whichever statistic text or statistic book you really like, or you feel comfortable with, either from the ones from this particular course that you used probably in your last class, or in other text, and answer the questions. It's very straightforward. Questions are all multiple choice and pretty much knowledge based. So very straightforward. And then once you mark your answers, you will go to the answer submission log or tab in week 4, and it's just like any online test in in Blackboard. It'll open up like a test, but you have unlimited time to complete the test. However, remember, you can only do it once. So if you kind of screw up and if you go in and answer the questions and it doesn't, and you end up shutting it down or something happens where you get kicked off, you're going to have to call me to have your attempt cleared, and then you'll have to re-enter it again. So remember, that's going to be due by Sunday night. So just a reminder about that. So the two things, the discussion question and the homework assignment. And of course, I look forward to participating with you along in class as always, and we'll see you in the discussion forums.